What's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer, and welcome to your daily silver stacking video. Thank you for tuning in. Genuinely, I'm so glad when you guys and gals are all here. I really want the community to be strong right now. There's going to be a lot of fear, uncertainty, doubt. A lot of people that are throwing articles out like this. I mean, it's an interesting title: 5 reasons to buy silver and 5 reasons not to. So I saw that title and I really wanted to break down the 5 reasons not to. That's what I want to focus on. I've covered a lot of articles where I've broke down some very misinformed, twisting words, trying to take out context to use to their narrative to really downplay silver. A lot of people do, and I think it has a lot to do with ego, not admitting that maybe stocks or whatever they specialized in isn't the best idea. Because if you look at the reality, silver makes the most sense out of even beyond gold. Precious metals obviously do, but silver has potential and benefits much farther than gold does. I mean, I just covered a video yesterday talking about the US Mint sold 5 million eagles, silver eagles, in the first month of January. The total mintage number annually is usually around 13 million. So we've already cut that in half within a month. That's pretty alarming, especially knowing the silver shortage, especially since they already had a hard time finding 13 million ounces last year. There was actually a limited cap on the type 1 and type 2. So, looking at a shortage plus looking at what's happening in the economy and the dollar, silver's a no-brainer. So I really want to look at these 5 reasons not to. And by the way, I highly recommend you go check out that video that I posted. It's a very interesting article, to say the least. So yeah, let's jump into this. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell. Click all. Make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment. Share this. I really want this stuff to get out there. Especially right now, as there's going to be more people criticizing silver and maybe downplaying it a little bit. But at the end of the day, we all know what silver's true value is. So make sure you subscribe, and maybe I'll be doing a giveaway soon. Hint, hint. And on the Silver Stacking Podcast, which is the second channel that I started a couple weeks ago, every Friday we drop a new podcast, and throughout the week we post segments. But we're also doing a giveaway there. The first 1,000 subscribers that sign up are going to be thrown in a silver giveaway. So make sure you go over there and check that out as well. So 5 reasons to buy silver and 5 reasons not to. Silver is the most frustrating of metals for investors, with huge potential that it hardly ever realizes. Here, Dominic Frisby outlines the case for buying silver and the case against it. This is going to be very interesting. Now, I want you to, before we even go into this article, I would love for you to try to see the 5 points that he's going to argue, the 5 reasons not to. I'm really curious. I'm going to say something about volatility because it's riskier, even though calling a safe haven metal or a safe haven asset is risky. That's very contradicting. But he's going to say something about being risky. He's going to say something about using, and actually I see this a lot, people will use the industrial side of silver against it, even though that's what makes it beneficial beyond gold. And maybe he'll say something about the physical aspect of it, where if you could get it stolen or something along those lines. But I don't know. I'm really curious. So let's look at this. Today we consider silver. One day it will go to the moon. It has close ties with the planet, after all. And I mean, it's kind of true. I mean, silver and gold came from meteors and asteroids. It doesn't grow in the dirt, right? So anyways, the question is whether it is worth the wait one day and within reasonable investment time horizons are not the same thing. So the latter suggests 3 to 5 years. The former could mean a lifetime or more. 5 reasons you should rush out and buy silver. I wouldn't say rush out, because usually when you do it in that mind state, you end up making, it's impulse buying, right? Making irrational decisions. You don't really have time to think it through. Before I even buy an ounce of silver online, I'm thinking about how I'm going to be able to sell that silver in the future. That's how you save yourself from a lot of mistakes. So anyways, I've said it before, there's probably no investment with as much potential as silver, except perhaps some little known tech that neither you and I can understand. Yet there is no investment more frustrating. With that in mind, today I offer you 5 reasons to buy silver and 5 reasons not to. Balance is everything after all. So number one, silver's cheap, right? To the all-time high, silver is $50, price set a long time ago. Actually, not even long ago, 2011. It's a decade ago, 10 years ago. But also, I mean, and the retest failed. It was like a couple pennies away. It was like 49.50, and the all-time high was 50. I mean, he made it sound like they tried to test the $50 level in 1980, but it failed. It's the same price. Both are $50. Today, silver sits at $22.60. That's 55% lower. Is there any other asset, let alone a commodity, that is trading at such a discount to its all-time highs? Especially with all the currency debasement that has gone, it's so cheap. And I do think one of the reasons why silver can, cut back 55% of its all-time highs is because the market is so small. Compared to gold, silver's a much smaller market, which is why it's more volatile. So anyways, 2, silver should be much more expensive. And yes, if you're going to invest into something, shouldn't you invest into the undervalued asset, not the overvalued? Gold is overvalued, silver's undervalued. Look at and if you're saying that that's not true, look at the gold to silver ratio. The gold to silver ratio compares gold to silver. The ratio is at like 75-1, when it should be around 16-1, which means gold is either overvalued or silver is extremely undervalued. And since we have those two options, as an investor, wouldn't you want to invest into the undervalued thing? That means there's potential. So anyways, yeah, there's roughly 15 times as much silver in the Earth's crust. It's actually around 8 or 9-1. But anyways, or I guess that's what it's dug out of the ground. There might be 15 times as much silver, but it is dug out of the ground roughly 8-1. But anyways, the silver price should be 15 times the gold price. And that's exactly why the gold to silver ratio for thousands of years has been 16-1, because that's the ratio it comes out of the ground. That's why. Until 1930, FDR got in office and changed it to 75-1. It went from 16-1 to 75-1, devaluing silver single-handedly. So anyways, by historical average, I mean in ancient Mesopotamia, in the Middle Ages, in the early modern era, right up to the 20th century, like I was just saying, right? And actually back in the day, it was 2.5-1. 2.5 parts silver equals 1 part gold. In ancient times, biblical times, they saw silver as magical. It was magic. It can purify water. It responded with elements like no other metal. Drop silver in water, it purifies it. Drop silver in milk, it keeps the milk fresh longer. So anyways, today the silver's price is 79 times the gold price. A return to the historical average would mean silver's 5 times higher, above $100 an ounce. And that's assuming there's no appreciation in gold. But you got to remember, gold will also be going up. Now, when silver does detach from gold, hence the silver shortage, hence 5G, all the reasons we're going to need silver technologically in the next coming decades where gold really has no benefit, then yes, silver could be dramatically outperforming gold, but I still think they will both be going up. It's not like gold's going to stay at 1800 and silver's going to shoot up to 300. So anyways, what's more, silver gets consumed and so no longer exists. Gold does not. It remains. Thus, really, the ratio should be lower than 15. And that's why I always say the gold to silver ratio might be 8 or 9-1 coming out of the ground, but it's much lower than that because that ounce of silver that gets dug out of the ground will be thrown away within 5-10 years, since it's used in laptops and cell phones and stuff that's never going to be recovered. Gold, though, since it's used for necklaces and jewelry and coins and bars, that's going to get sold at a pawn shop or somewhere, and it's going to get remelted and turned into more coins or jewelry or bars. So that ounce of gold that gets dug up will stay in circulation and around the earth for probably a century, but that ounce of silver is going to be thrown away within a decade or two. So yes, it comes out of the ground 8 or 9-1, but if you look at it that way, it's actually much smaller. So number 3, the silver price is suppressed, and so the story goes. And yes, manipulation is real. Price rigging is real. I've made several videos on this. The amount of silver sold forward on the COMEX amounts to more than 1 year's supply. In other words, the silver that has been sold can't be delivered. Sooner or later, this means there's going to be a run on physical silver, and the price will go bananas. And yes, every ounce of silver you own in your safe, theoretically, like 3 or 4 other people own that same ounce, and people have said up to 50 or even 100 other people theoretically own that same ounce. But since you're the only one that's holding it, you're the only one that owns it, right? If you can't hold it, you do not own it. Number 4, silver has many uses, and it is the best thermal and electrical conductor from all metals. So every phone, computer, every TV, silver lithium-ion batteries, decent battery, every photovoltaic cell, which is PV cells, which is used in solar panels. Before the invention discovery of antibiotics, silver was the most important antimicrobial agent, right? I mean, it's used in the medical world. There's colloidal silver. It's used in medical wall paint, right? There's silver nanoparticles. It's used in everything. I mean, it's the most highly conductive metal for thermal thermal electricity, or the most highly conductive metal for thermal electricity, light sensitivity. I mean, there's nothing like silver. There's nothing like silver. Its reflectivity means it has in jewelry, silverware, mirrors, right? It's even the most highly reflective. It is malleable to, and it's and that means that it can be beaten into sheets, drawn into wire. Actually, scientists found a way to make silver 40%. Scientists found a way to make silver 40% stronger without losing any electrical conductivity. That's insane. And I think as time goes on, scientists are going to find more and more uses for silver, meaning it's only going to become more valuable. It's literally the most important asset in the world, in my opinion. And I don't even think that's an opinion. I think that's a fact when you're looking at, the Green New Deal, looking at 5G towers, looking at electric vehicles. We're talking about global warming. We're talking about pollution, and the entire world won't be able to go green because we can't make the solar panels because we don't have enough silver. We can't make these electric vehicles that are putting out, we're trying to get zero net emissions by the year 2030 because we don't have enough silver. Silver is literally what's going to make the world go round or not. So, number 5, silver's money. I mean, we always knew that. It means money. A pound was once called a pound of sterling silver. Argent is silver, right? Plata is silver. In this age of relentless currency debasement, money printing, and inflation, you need to protect yourself. Silver as a monetary and precious metal does that. Right? I love when people try to say silver isn't money anymore. Only gold is, which makes no sense. Silver was actually money before gold was. 5 reasons not to touch silver. Now let's look at this. Silver isn't cheap. So we just said that silver was cheap. Number 1, silver is cheap, and now his first is silver isn't cheap. Those 2 all-time highs are illusory figures. The 1980 high came at the end of the inflation. Actually, 1980 high was from the Hunt brothers, owning 77% of the global silver supply, turning all those contracts into the COMEX for physical delivery, causing the government to actually ban silver. And actually, the reason they got into silver, not gold, was because gold was actually illegal to own and buy at the time, so they chose silver. They banned silver, shot it back down to $9. That's why silver hit $50 in 1980s, because the Hunt brothers cornered the market. 2011 was from a very similar situation as today. 2008 credit financial crisis, recession/depression, just like 2020. Then, billion-dollar stimulus back then. Now it's trillion-dollar stimulus. And that led to $50 silver back in 2011. Nowadays, we have credit financial crisis, right? Recession/depression, trillion-dollar stimulus, and a global pandemic, and a massive silver shortage. So if that led silver to $50 back then, imagine what it could lead silver to today. Number 2, ratios don't matter. Who cares about the historical average or what it is? There may be 15 times more silver in the Earth's crust, but it's a lot easier to mine than gold is. Not really. Silver is actually found as a byproduct. They find silver by accident, like he says right here. but there's barely any primary focal silver mines, and that actually is pretty rare, especially as most silver gets thrown away. So yes, it gets dug up, and he even made that point up above for the reasons to buy it. So a little contradicting. Silver isn't being suppressed when he just said it was being suppressed. Money has moved on, even though he just said silver is money. See, no, he literally just contradicted himself into everything he just said. Every point, almost every single one. Yeah, because look, it should be more expensive, but then he goes in to say it's it's not being suppressed, but he's literally up here saying that it should be more expensive, so it is suppressed. And he even says the silver price is suppressed. And then down here he says the silver price isn't suppressed. He said up here silver is cheap. Then down here he says silver isn't cheap. Is this supposed to be some type? And then he goes silver is money, and down here he says money has moved on. And then he says silver has many uses, but then down here, number 4, it isn't useful. Every one for one, he contradicts himself. Look at this. Number 1, he says silver's cheap. Number 1 down there, silver isn't cheap. Number 2, silver shouldn't be much more expensive. Look what number 2 is down here. Ratios don't matter. Look at number 3 up here. Silver price is suppressed. Number 3 down here. Silver isn't being suppressed. Number 4 up here. Silver has many uses. Number 4 down here. Silver isn't useful. Number 5. Silver is money. Number 5 down here. Silver has moved on, or money has moved on. Every single point he just made saying the 5 reasons you need silver, he contradicted himself with the same 5 answers down below. But the answers down below have no context and actually are contradicting what he's saying. That's interesting. That was a curveball. I thought he was going to at least make some type of good points like I explained in the beginning. Maybe it's riskier because it's more volatile. Maybe storage, right? You can fit $100,000 of gold in a shoebox. You can't do that with silver. Maybe it's riskier for people because if you get your silver stolen, then you're SOL. I mean, what an interesting article. Wow, that was a curveball. I hope you still enjoyed the video. I hope you still learned something. Even if this article, even if he didn't make good points, hopefully I threw in my 2 cents on top of the points, and hopefully you got some good information out of it. But what a weird article. That was a curve. I was not expecting that, right? I was not expecting that. I don't pre-read these articles when I push record because I want you guys to feel the natural response that I get. And you got it. I mean, that was really interesting. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Make sure to go check out the Silver Stacking Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, though. Everyone really should be subscribing to a channel, at least like mine, because I'm going to update you on a daily basis. You really can't be blindly investing. That's not investing, that's gambling. Investors make strategic decisions based off information. I give you the information every day. If you're not getting the information, that's not investing, right? So anyways, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.